I'm EscoBlades, and I'm here at a Ghost Recon press event in London, and I'm here to ask some questions from the dev team. I am here with Eric Couzian. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're the game director on Ghost Recon Future Shoulder, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I've had a chance to see the game and had a bit of a hands-on, and I was hoping to just put some questions to you, mainly for the fans, so that we get a better idea. Fortunately, we found out the other day that the game's been delayed. But yeah, we'll get onto that anyway. So let's just start with, for those who haven't been keeping up, just give us a brief rundown of the main story campaign, with Ghost Recon Future Shoulder.
Yeah, so the ghosts find themselves on a trail of a weapon smuggling ring with a very terrifying potential. And they will investigate in Bolivia, Nigeria, Zambia, and Pakistan until they find out that there is something bigger at stake. There is a launch of a nuclear nuke to cover a coup in Russia made by a military group which is named Ravensrock. And the ghosts will assist the counter-revolution until they march on Moscow. This is the big picture. So it's not, the story doesn't deal with the Third World War, but how to prevent it. And so this is the high-level story, but you have also the story of the ghosts themselves, because we have spent a lot of time on developing the characters this time, contrary to the previous Ghost Recon, in which you were switching from characters to characters in your team, because we have worked with many US Spec Ops advisors, and we were quite concerned about how they deal with their normal life, their special status in the army, how they behave on the battlefield when they are among civilians, all this kind of stuff that makes Ghost Recon a true Spec Ops experience.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So you've got a lot of real life Spec Ops operatives in, to help with, and so it lends that realistic feel to
it. We had actually 4 former Spec Ops. They say former, we don't even know if they're still active, and they cannot say the truth. But we use them for all the motion capture. All the animation of the main character is based on real Spec Ops. They advised us also on the technology, because Ghost Recon happens tomorrow, not the day after tomorrow, and any tool they use, such as the optical camo, the drones, their techniques in terms of squad orders and organization and tactics, it's all based on their advice. So everything is true or an anticipation of the tool.
Okay, that's good. All right. So, like I noticed in the gameplay that some of the missions we've done, you've definitely made a move away from the micromanaging style of the previous games, and that's been talked about by a few members of the team. I was actually going to ask if you thought that took away from the tactical element of it, but it actually adds to it, doesn't it? And you spend a lot of your time, being able to go where you want. Your AI. It's definitely been improved, and so you don't have to point and click, as it were.
Yeah, it was one of the main goals we had, is to have a more accessible game. Let's give me 2 seconds just to explain this word that sometimes is scary. My definition of what is accessibility is not to have a less difficult game or less challenging game. It's just to give comfort to the player. So I mean that accessibility is, I don't have to press 8 buttons for one function, but only 1 or 2. All the signs and feedback are very clear. So it's exactly what we made on the order system. Actually, you have exactly the same depth that it used to be in the previous Ghost Recon, but you just here with only 1 button. If you hold the button, you will tag the enemies. If you are undetected, then your teammates will get the best position and ready to kill the enemies until either you shoot or you give them the orders by holding the same button. And if the gunfight is open, you use exactly the same mechanic. And if you tag the enemy, the teammates will shoot at this enemy in priority. He will get the aggro of the enemy so that you can flank. So it means that you can do and have exactly the same tactics and be as smart as in the previous Ghost Recon, but with just one button.
Yeah, definitely for those fans who are listening, it was interesting because you have that that suppressing fire order, as it were.
Yeah.
When you're being suppressed, you can tag that enemy that's laying down cover fire on you, and then your teammates will prioritize that enemy, and then it allows you to fly and go pick off a headshot and stuff. And so it's definitely not an easy game. When I was playing, I died a few times, and not necessarily because I did anything stupid, just because the enemy AI is considerably improved. So that's definitely a plus. So you've mentioned, in addition to the campaign, there's going to be online multiplayer. That's continuing with the tradition of the previous titles. I don't know if you're able to talk about it right now, but can you give us an idea of sort of the modes that players can expect other than just standard team deathmatch?
So the beta will take place in April. So you will be able to play the game. Actually, there are 4 modes, all based on objectives. So it's not the mess of the team deathmatch you can know usually. You can play it the way you want. I mean, exactly like in the campaign, you can play it the Recon way, by using all your tools, getting intel, helping your mates, just even if you don't want to shoot, but just using the drones, get intel, and you will get experience points just by tagging the right guys. So it means that you have three classes that correspond to your own play style. If you want to play the scout, the engineer, or the rifleman, there are 10 maps. Some environments are based on the campaign, and there are some that are new, exclusive to the multiplayer. And that's it. And you have the gunsmith too, in which it's magnified because as you play the multiplayer for hours and hours more than in the campaign. The campaign lasts at least 10 hours for the best players, but you can, as you know, multiplayer you can play 100 hours. So all the gunsmith customization is really magnified in multiplayer.
Okay, that's good. There's, like we've mentioned, there's 4-player co-op. Now, what a lot of fans would like to know is there going to be a sort of horde mode style, where you just take on waves of oncoming enemies, or is it just 4-player campaign co-op?
So, for the moment, I cannot say anything.
You can't say, okay?
Yeah,
that's
in a few
fine.
weeks.
Okay, no problem. We'll wait for that then. Like you've already mentioned, the gunsmith feature with the Kinect, and that's just limited to gunsmith, though. It's not in-game, so you can't.
No. It's compatible. The gunsmith is compatible with Kinect, but if you don't have Kinect, you can play with the pen.
Okay, so do you think that in future, the technology that we have with Kinect, maybe either with the technology now, or maybe if it develops in future, can be implemented properly into like either a first person, a third person, or a tactical shooter? Do you see a place for that?
The question is why not? The question is reactivity. As long as we have 0.1 second of lag, it means that you don't have the reactivity the players want. When you play a shooter game, everything is based on your skill at aiming or at deciding things very quickly. So 0.1 second, it's 0.1 seconds that you cannot accept. So as soon as there will be no input lag and it will be exactly like the pad, why not? But I don't know if the people want to play 10 hours.
Standing up and moving around.
Sometimes when you get tired at work, you like playing in your sofa and playing, like this. So we will see. But maybe there will be good opportunities in the future.
Yeah, but I mean, from what I've seen, the connected functionality and interactivity with the gunsmith is really cool. I think a lot of people will have fun, even if they're not going to play the game like for a long time. They can have fun just moving it around.
Oh the idea of the implementation of Kinect in Gunsmith is one guy in the team who said, hey, why not controlling Kinect like the Gunsmith? like in Minority Report, it was this kind of fantasy, and we would say, yeah, it's a good idea, it's fun.
That's good. Okay, Joe, I was going to ask about the beta, and I'd prepared these questions before we'd heard about the delay. So obviously we now know that the game's coming out in May, the beta's coming out in April, respectively. I was going to ask about the entry conditions. I don't know if you're going to be able to talk about, because we know previously Ubisoft had told people, those who had got it, who had got Splinter Cell Conviction, should hang on to their discs because they'll be able to get in that way. So initially it was going to be an Xbox 360 exclusive. Now we know that it's Xbox and PS3. Can you talk about the entry conditions now, or is that something you're going to come to?
I prefer you ask this question to the PR.
Yes, okay, no problem, that's fine. Okay, so let's move on. And I was again going to ask about the classes and weapons, but you've already touched on that with regards to the beta and the multiplayer and things like that. I do want to ask about the sync shot. Now we've noticed it can be activated both by the players, so by the soldiers on the ground, or you can even utilize the drone, to tag, to basically bag and tag the enemies. Now, what would you say to the hardcore fans who say, oh, this is sort of like Splinter Cell's mark and execute, and it makes the game a little bit too easy? I know you touched upon sort of accessibility. What would you say with regards to that?
There are two things to say about that. First is that it's not as Splinter Cell, even if the mechanic is quite close, but as you play with your squad of 4 members, it really changes the way you mark the guys, because you have to synchronize. It's not only I mark and then I shoot, because you have to get the best position and to synchronize with your friends or with the AI. So it's a new type of challenge, because synchronizing, it's not easy at all. And when you play with a friend, you have either to synchronize by talking or just by using the mark. As soon as you tag an enemy, the mark is displayed on the screen of your friend. So it's also a way to communicate. So if you don't want to talk, you can just use the tag. And regarding the difficulty, we had a system that if you use the AI too often, it means that you make them take risks quite often, and at the end they may die. So it's not a no-brainer. It's not because you see a target, you tag it, and then it's done. No, because if you tag blindly, then the teammate AI will take risks, and it can die.
To get into a good position. That's one thing actually that I noticed, that when you're tagging, for the bag and tag, especially if you tag multiple targets, so that each member of your team is engaged, they're going to try and move into a good position, and that could expose them, especially if they're taking up cover initially. So
as you can tag up to 4 marks, if you only mark one guy, then the fire will be focused on this guy. If you tag 4, then your power of fire will be split. So there are many mechanics such as this one to make the game difficult in choosing the right target at the right moment.
I also noticed a feature that again is kind of new to Ghost Recon, in that you can hide bodies. So if you have a stage where you don't want to be detected, or you can't, you have to go through the stage without being detected, I've been told that you can hide bodies when you've killed them, and you have the stealth kills. I mean, again, that's sort of like something new. I mean, what sort of what brought about that? Because normally Ghost Recon's really just been about downing targets in sort of like this urban environment. But now you have a bit of the close quarters combat and stuff.
Actually, it's also working with US Spec Ops advisors, which told us that on the battlefield, close combat is a big part of their job. So we say, okay, we want us to be as credible as possible and to be to deliver this Spec Ops experience. So that's why we added it. And even in the tactics, the orders, you give, then it really changes the way you play, because as soon as the range is very close, then there are many new tactics with your friend that occur.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, for the most part, what I've seen, it looks really good, and definitely urge people to stay focused and sort of look forward to it. I did want to ask about the PC version. Now, again, with the announcement of the delay, the PC version kind of came back into fore. In that there is going to be one, albeit maybe at a later date or whatever. So that brings up the question, is there going to be any sort of crossover between Ghost Recon Future Soldier and Ghost Recon Online, which we know is going to be free to play on the PC?
Actually, since the beginning, we have worked very closely with the team who is in charge of developing Ghost Recon Online to share the same experience. For sure, at one moment we have split, because the experience are different. I mean, Ghost Recon Online is a free-to-play. We are an IM game on 360 and PS3 and PC. That's maybe the reason why there are some misleading information, but actually we will have a PC version of Ghost Recon Future Soldier, and that's it.
Okay, so you don't think that it's sort of like... I guess it's good for PC players because they have two different games to play under the same banner. It doesn't kind of dilute the sort of, if there's going to be, like you've said, if you're working closely with them, there's going to be some sort of crossover.
And then it's up to the fans to decide which game they want to play. One of them don't please them, they will choose the other.
Okay, that's good. Well, I mean, that's pretty much it that I wanted to ask. And, big thank you, for talking to us. And for everybody, be sure to stay tuned to Xbox Game Zone and check out the written preview of this when the embargo lifts. Thanks very much. Take care. Bye-bye.